Hello, all, and thank you for joining us here tonight. My name is Megs Whiteley, and I am chairperson of the Barn Owl Players Drama Group, an amateur drama group based in Kilkenny, Ireland. Like many drama groups around the country, this year in 2020, our plans for a one act festival in May fell foul of COVID-19. So, we were delighted when Philip Hardy from Barnstorm Theatre Company, a professional theatre company based here in Kilkenny also, approached us with a plan or an idea to bring theatre online. And so, with this partnership, Zoom Bops was born. This involved many Zoom meetings and putting out a call out in the region for people to come forward and write a monologue. This also included a workshop which we had with three very well-known playwrights here in Ireland, Maeve Inglesby, John Morton and Jim Nolan. We were delighted and privileged to have their help and input into the whole process. And out of this came 9 original pieces, which we are delighted to present here tonight, along with 3 existing pieces. And we hope that you will enjoy this presentation. So if you just sit back, relax and enjoy, and please share with all your friends. Thank you.
No one is going to come to get me. Mother will be upstairs, kneeling beside her bed, fingers fumbling through the knots of her rosary beads, head bowed in prayer. That's what she always does at times like this. None of my sisters will dare try to save me. To do so would be to risk their own safety. My father will do anything other than love us. We're all girls, you see. All he ever does is preen and pet those racing pigeons of his. He shows them more affection than he ever did us. If he loses a competition, he'll come home and beat us for any reason he can find. After we're gone to bed battered and bruised, it's usually Mother's turn. I hate those pigeons! They're nothing but a bunch of cooing vermin, riddled with diseases and always shitting everywhere. That's why I let the cat in. My father's favourite was one of the first to be eaten. The cat had killed 3, when a guilty feeling overwhelmed any joy I felt about my vengeance. I managed to get her out, but it was a struggle. She scratched my arms and hissed viciously. If he'd have known it was me who let the cat in when he discovered the damage first, he would have killed me on the spot. He had some time to come to terms with his grief before he saw the scratches on my arms and understood exactly what I did. He locked me in this shed at the bottom of the garden, the one infested with rats because of the pigeon food. Everything is quiet. The world resolves itself in shadows as the sun withdraws its light. I hear scratching. The darkness deepens. I need something to defend myself with. My heart is racing. This stone is smooth. It feels enchanted, like it's not rough enough to belong in my world. Lights of neighbouring houses go out. The rest of the world falls into the oblivion of sleep. My darkness is invaded with scuttling and squealing. Something brushed off my leg. Time to retreat into the corners of my mind. The smoothness of this stone calms me. I allow myself to be somewhere else. Somewhere where there's no shed and no walls and no doors and no lock. Only brightness and open spaces for me to run as fast as I can. And my legs are strong and powerful enough to carry me far, far away.
I'm sitting at the kitchen table cutting coupons to the newspaper. A sudden shiver goes right through my body. Goosebumps are bursting out all over my skin. I turn around and there's a man tucked against the wall behind me. I freeze. I forget to breathe. My mind is screaming, "Run, run, run!" But my body won't cooperate. I look at this strange creature. His dishevelled state, his long, dirty, matted hair. He smells foul. He's unnaturally tall. We stare unblinkingly at each other for what seems like hours. I ask him what he wants from me. "A cup of tea would be nice for starters," he says. For starters? What does he mean for starters? I can feel and hear my heart pounding. I will myself to be calm so I can think straight. I suggest he take a seat. He creeps across the room as if on tiptoes. When he sits, he looks like an adult sitting in a child's chair. He doesn't take his eyes off me for a second, nor I him as I walk backwards towards the kettle. I can feel the bile collecting in my throat. Placate, placate, placate is all that's going through my mind. My hands are shaking. I feel as if my legs are going to collapse under me. I consider throwing the scalding tea into his face. But before I get close enough, he leaps to his feet. "Stop right there," he says. He moves away from the table. "Sit," he says, as if talking to a dog. He creeps back to the table, gulping down a mouthful of tea. He seems surprised that it's burnt his mouth. "What have you done to me?" he says. I have to think fast. I jump up, grab a phone, suggesting I call a doctor. He jumps up, towering over me. He glares at me. I can hear the silent command. I sit down. He sits down. "Read to me," he demands, pointing at the newspaper. I read the front page heading. "Housewife. Search continues for housewife murderer." "You left your bathroom window open," he says. Suddenly it hits me. "I've seen you before," I say. He slowly gets to his feet, stands directly over me, I curl into a ball. I can see him reaching his hand into his front pocket. He moves behind me. I'm about to reach for the scissors when he starts to comb my hair with the gentleness of a child. He leans into me, inhaling deeply. Once, twice, he snuggles his face into my hair. And I get a flash of something I've heard about him. He had witnessed his mother's murder and had been living under the bridge since his release from the psychiatric hospital. He reaches across me, picks up the scissors. I can cut your hair if you wish, he says, like I did for my mama. You loved your mama, I say. I took great care of her, he says. A feeling of calm comes over me. My body relaxes and my heart goes back to its normal beat. My husband will be home soon, I say. We hear the car pull into the driveway, the fumbling of the keys in the front door. You better go now, I say. He seems relieved. Yes, he says, I think my work is done here. And he walks back into the bathroom.
A 1,000 years ago, and 1,000 more before, she looked upon a nighttime sky and saw a shooting star. At first, just one, then thousands more, an explosion of beauty that touched her very core. Some said it was a thing to fear, an omen of some impending doom, but what she saw was a flash of light, its beauty vast and pure. She had never seen anything move so fast, nor burn so bright, nor do a dance at such great height. She was young, they said, when she spoke of it with delight, but they traded glances above her head. She was wed young, and when doubts came, once again she thought of the stars that shot across the sky. When her first child cried at night, she spoke to her of sparkling skies, of magic that danced before her very eyes. She soothed with whispers of wondrous delights, of beacons that blazed so high that she felt she had left the ground and floated with them in the sky. When her second born died, once again she looked to the stars, assured that he had taken his place, a light in the dark to protect those who still survived. By 3 and 4, it had all become a muddle, lives lived for brief moments taking their place amongst the stars. Her thoughts were dark, her heart was weak, her mind was filled with pain. Her husband, bereft as what to do, enclosed her in a tomb. Locked in a room with no windows, she stared at the wooden roof, imagining a sky full of flames. In amongst those flames, her children kept her safe. Sometimes she cried, sometimes she screamed, but always she basked in their light. Her firstborn, soon to wed, begged to see her mother one last time, and her father, he could not but relent. Her husband, never cruel but terribly misled, had followed the words of a local sayer who said his wife would never be right, cursed by the night that had shed its great light. As her daughter came close to say farewell, she whispered how she would be all right, for she carried the magic of the stars in her heart. Her mother had shown her a world where children lived in hope, not fear. How could such beauty be a warning? How could such splendor represent doom? She came close to say one last farewell. She whispered, "Take this vial and drink it down. It will take you to the skies. It will make you a star to watch over me. I will make sure that my children know that the stars protect a pattern of beauty in the dark." How could she refuse the chance to escape into the stars, to join her children in the skies? She took the vial, drank it fast, and whispered, "To the skies, to the skies." The tomb door closed one last time, and starlight filled the empty room. A tomb no more would she dwindle her days. She would dance and explode in glorious rays, a beacon of light in tumultuous days.
Yes. Okay. Okay. This is Mark Watney, astronaut. Entering this log for the record in case I don't make it. It's a 6:53 on Sol 19, and I'm still alive, obviously. But I'm guessing this is going to be quite a surprise for my crewmates and NASA and the entirely world. So, surprise! I didn't die on Sol 18. The best I can tell, this length of our primary communications antenna tore through my biomonitor. He ripped a hole in me as well. It was just horrible, but thanks for asking. But the antenna and the blood managed to seal the breach in my suit, which kept me alive. Even though the whole team must have thought I was dead. Commander Willis, if you ever hear this, listen. It wasn't your fault. It was just bad luck. You did what you had to do, and if I had been in your position, I would have done the same. I'm glad you guys made it. Alright though, this is where we at. Mark Watney, stranded on Mars. I have no way to contact NASA because our communications antenna is stuck into my stomach. But I already told you that. But even if I could do it, even if I could make, it would take 40 years before the next manned trip gets here. And I've been injured for the last 31 days. If the oxygenator breaks, I will suffocate. If the water reclaimer breaks, I will die of thirst. If the hab breaches, I will sort of implode. And if by some miracle none of that happens, I will eventually run out of food. So yeah. Yeah.
Hello? Anybody there? Anybody listening? Any helping hand? Why is it so dark? No sunshine? Why can't I see the light of the moon or feel the energy of the stars? Hear the children playing, the birds singing, or the clash of the ash? Am I paralysed? Going blind? What's up with my hearing? COVID-19? My God, I'm dying.
Hello?
What's going on? Who's there?
Oh, don't mind me. Carry on with what you're doing.
Do I know you?
Maybe, but I know a lot about you.
You seem very sure.
I'm positive, definite in my ways, incredibly quiet, never make any noise. People don't even know I'm about. I'm so good, I go unnoticed. I have ways of getting to you. Once inside, I lay out my plans. I work from the inside out. Perhaps I can help you.
Me? But why?
You look lost, confused. Want to chat? Want to let me in? I can change things for you. I've changed a lot of people.
But maybe I don't want to change.
Just listen to me. Don't mind what others are telling you.
How dare you? They're my friends you're talking about. How dare you tell me not to talk to my friends?
They are talking behind your back. I know what's been said about you.
Please, stop. Go away. Just leave me alone.
All I need is a little time inside. You need to be alone. Do not look for applause or credit. None of that suits you. Remember, you didn't finish school. You really didn't receive an education. The way you do things is ridiculous. Listen to me.
You said it won't take long.
Stay within your own mind, inside the confines I set for you. Let it possess you. My ways are best, full of the unknown, mind-blowing, sometimes dark and scary.
Perhaps.
Let us celebrate. A cigarette, a drink perhaps, something stronger, my friend. I have many remedies, stronger than any painkillers, mind-blowing, life-threatening. Whatever you need, just ask me.
I'm listening. You're much safer here with me, locked away from the outside world, confined, trapped within your inner mind. Yes.
The dragonfly have come. The wind sways the rushes. Swallows sail and swoop. Nature is one big energetic child. I sit amongst it all and recoil at the thoughts of what's in the water. Aside from the hundreds of sprats I can see, I consider the eels and the pike and the snails and the rats. I hear chomping at the rushes. 'Tis a rat with brazen teeth. Who am I to oust him? I am the visitor here. Where am I king? I sit with my dog Joseph. He followed me here, through the meadow, to this place. He cannot settle, is anxious. I cannot settle. Long time since I breathed into the heart space. Long time since. Yellow lilies emerge, splashing the surface, bobbing like ballerinas for some beautiful moments, bowing, then closing their skirts. What beauty emerges from the dark, murky depths? What beauty makes its way through the mire? The clots, the knots, the weeds. Success! I hear the wind in the rushes and Channel Yates. I am in his neck of the woods, near enough to Ben's bulbous head. He hears more than I with those great big limestone ears. I hear all that I don't hear. It breaks my heart to have such little ears to hear. Are you calling me? I came here to this place to breathe into the heart space. But the heart is tucked away, engulfed. Put it away, man. 'Tis no country for old men. After a time of breathing in and breathing out, I retreat back into my socks. The one I removed earlier in an effort to ground myself. Just the one. I leave this place, having failed. I heard nought, was told nothing new. If I stayed here for a year, they would not confide in me any more neither. We leave. Back to the dragonfly meadow, back to the house that is not ours, back to where ears are for listening to non-stop whinging and the radio passes. Go back and collect yourself. Recollect. Go back and pick yourself up. I said, go back and pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. You sat down somewhere, sometime. Somewhere, sometime, you sat down because you couldn't take another step. The knees got weak and you collapsed. You bloody well buckled and you stayed there. Part of you moved on. Did home, did school, did puberty, did girls. Ciggies and stiffies, snogs under monkey bars, forbidden fumbles. Then the clots, the knots, the weeds. Part of you moved on, but part of you sat on your hunkers, knees bent, legless, fucked. It will be all right. You are loved. Give over. Give in. Surrender. Render sore.
Hey sis, how you doing? We're at the beach house now. I'm watching the tide go out. Hey, remember the time Mam lost us at the beach? Hey, what's with all the voices? Lily's Republican in-laws to be. So they're Trump supporters. I'd rather have a house full of flesh-eating zombies for the long weekend. It's only my second glass. I'll find my best friend at the bottom of this one. And my third, my own personal assassin. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Anyhow, I'll let you go. You've got a house full. Ben? No, not a word. Someone said they saw him at the Ivy in LA, but that's impossible. Because he couldn't fly in this pandemic. Besides, Brian got off his allowance once he turned 18. We did pay for that nose job, though. Truly a disaster. Brian? He's okay, I guess. Busy. Worried about Ben. Constantly on the phone to London about his latest screenplay. Screenplay? Well, it's about a sad man who returns to Ireland to help stop the extinction of the curlew bird. We'll make $1 million out of that, huh? We don't talk anymore. I've had to let the gardener go. Yes, but I'm just a souvenir of his time in New York in the late 80s. Proof that he was part of the scene. All of the people I introduced him to. Americans are like the plague now in Europe. Okay, I'll let you go then. Go save that brother-in-law of mine from the zombies. Hey, wait! There's people on the beach. They're wearing suits? Why would they be wearing suits? Oh my God, they're coming to the house. Brian!
Sometimes I turn around and catch the smell of you. And I cannot go on. I cannot fucking go on without this terrible, so fucking awful, aching, physical fucking longing I have for you. And I cannot believe that I can feel this for you and you feel nothing. Do you feel nothing? Do you feel nothing? And I go out at 6 in the morning and start my search for you. If I've dreamt a message of a street or a pub or a station, I go there and I wait for you. You know, I really feel like I'm being manipulated. I've never in my life had a problem giving another person what they wanted. But no one's been able to do that for me. No one touches me. No one gets near me. But now you've touched me somewhere so fucking deep, I can't believe and I can't be that for you. Because I can't find you. What does she look like? And how will I know her when I see her? She'll die. She'll die. She'll only fucking die. Do you think it's possible for a person to be born in the wrong body? Do you think it's possible for a person to be born in the wrong era? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you for rejecting me by never being there. Fuck you for making me feel like shit about myself. Fuck you for bleeding the fucking love and life out of me. Fuck my father for fucking up my life for good, and fuck my mother for not leaving him. But most of all, fuck you, God, for making me love a person who does not exist. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Confinement. He gazed at his small hand in his solitary confinement. He did not understand the limits of the safety net. He felt a loving hand caressing him protectively. He heard music far away and soothing words lovingly. He trusted the sound of her voice. He recognized her caress. Plans of the future began to entice him to a life void of distress. And the special day came. His world of confinement drew to an end. As his mother began giving birth, to him it was a godsend. He begins his journey into this world. Now he is born, a story of hope, waiting to be told. Thank you.
We got to the cliffs. The land was lower there. There was a modesty to the place. Because we were unobserved, we lay down in a hollow for a little while. And then it was back to the antiquities. Pater was excited, because he could make out old stones in the ground, like a strange road, but more likely the foundations of a Celtic fort. And he said he was pleased that no archaeologists had come along in the years since to rebuild, as they had in many other places. The old stones ended at the cliff, a drop of 50 feet to the water below. Pater, standing there, excited, passionate, on the edge of the cliff. I remember worrying about the ground beneath his feet. It might have been just a thin shelf of rock. How could we tell? And a devious wind came up behind us, and he was caught off guard, off balance, and he tottered forward an inch or two. And I reached out to steady him. That was my first intention. But suddenly, something else gripped me. Assailed me. A queer little instinct to push him off. Help him on his way with a little push. Oh, why in God's name did I want to do that? I don't know. I don't know. When I look into my heart, I can see no answer. Just a black little mark against my soul. Not an instinct much to do with anything. A strange little instinct. Like something from childhood. A sudden capricious wickedness. A piece of wretched devilment. And on this tiny moment, turned my whole life. Over he went. Inexorable as you like. Pater. His face in profile to me. turning from gladness to horror. He uttered something. He said something to me. PJ, catch me, catch me. And I'm sure I tried to catch him then. I'm sure I did. But the laws of gravity were against us, and no one falls slowly. You're gone in a moment. A fraction of a moment. I don't even remember if I touched his jacket again. He was gone. Over the edge. Down to the sea. Patter. Falling. Me peering over after him. He fell like a wounded bird. Plummeting. Screaming. And bounced twice off rocks protruding and struck the Atlantic with hardly a sound. Far away below, he was gobbled. Gobbled, you would think, by the strange greed of the sea. And I myself was screaming. And then, though I hadn't spotted them, hadn't noticed them at all in that bare expanse of peat and bog, 2 older priests appeared by my side. And truth to tell, prevented me from throwing myself after him, which is exactly what I wanted to do. "Oh my God, your friend has fallen in," the first man said. I pushed him. I cried, crying out like a criminal confessing after a long interrogation. But no. Hadn't he just uttered his few words when the other priest, a small bony chap, stepped back from me in that instant, as if, having killed one man, I might be of a mind to kill 2.
I don't really remember the first time that he hit me. After a while, it became so routine that all the nights just rolled into one. His fist smashing into me over and over, the dizzy spells that followed, the eerie tense silence where my mother's honeyed tones should have been. You see, my father liked to drink. He'd disappear for days on end. Inevitably, though, he'd fall in the door, face a ruddy red, reeking of the stench of alcohol, and his eyes would be wide, the coldest, deadest eyes you can ever imagine, staring straight into our fantasies and yanking us back into reality. But I will give him this much. He never touched the girls. In some strange, warped way, I think I respected him for it. The nights he drank whiskey were some of the worst. It was these nights that I spent in the hay barn. I knew that if he didn't pass out after the first round, I was in danger of another beating. And I was afraid he was going to kill me. So I'd slip out as quietly as I could, head throbbing and ears ringing, vowing to myself that one day I'd escape for good, or die trying. My mother and sister didn't come to look for me, because they knew I was better off where I was. They knew what he was capable of. I was 14 on that October night. He'd left early, and so as usual I'd been sent to the shop. I'd just made my way down when I could make out the light of a lamp. Billy Mack, the local politician. "Run," says he, "run. And call for an ambulance and a doctor and anyone else you can. Run and don't stop." It was 10 minutes later when I arrived back on the scene. The sight of the ambulance didn't faze me, or the sirens, or the pool of dark red liquid, or the shards of glass. But the 2 tiny body bags did. A male driver in his 40s had fallen asleep at the wheel, killing a woman and 2 small girls who'd been sleeping in the back. I stood back, barely able to look, as the zips were pulled over the blood-stained corpses. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was the sergeant. "Son," says the sergeant, "we need you to climb in there and free his leg. You might be able to buy us some time before the ambulances get here." At this point, my fear was almost audible. I just wanted to open my mouth and scream, but I didn't. I just nodded and crawled into the passenger seat. He was stone cold dead. But that wasn't why I started to cry. The smell of alcohol was unmistakable, and I began to sob and sob until I couldn't breathe. It was the first time that I'd seen a dead body, and the last time I ever slept in the hay barn afterwards. My sanctuary suddenly felt like a cage. A cage with only thin bars between me and the thousands of cold, dead eyes that I could feel but never quite see. The eyes of the corpse. The eyes of my father. Watching me, following me, trapped in my prison, with those eyes watching me forever. Days later, I found out the woman had been trying to get away from her husband, who'd been a drunk. She took her 2 girls and all she could fit into her tiny suitcases. She got in the car and just drove. She died trying to escape her prison. Some nights, I still lie awake, trapped in mine.
Jesus. I must be the only woman in the world whose fella will not let her get a boob job. I mean, it's not as if I even want them that much bigger or anything, do you know? It's just like a little lift. Oh my God, they're going to be sagging so much, so soon I'm actually going to need scaffolding. You'll draw too much attention to yourself. Yeah, that's the idea. Well, he used to be anyway. Oh, he's gone so jittery. I mean, he's second guessing himself. He's so paranoid. He's the reason I had to get all of this done. Oh, everything except the boobs. How old do you think I am? Go on, guess. Just guess, go on. I'm 40. It all looks natural, though, doesn't it? It's not as if they made a mess of me or anything. Well, I used to be blonde, and that's fake. And now I'm a brunette. Blondes, according to Tony, are wag. Glamorous is the word that I'd use. Do you know, he looked at me, right? And he made a list. A list. So nose, eyes, cheeks and chin. Oh yeah, and I got my arse done. Like a Kardashian arse? No. More like a Karen arse, you know, far more than fabulous. And he got his eyes, his nose and his chin done. And now he shaves his head and he doesn't even go to the gym anymore. Toning it down, he calls it. Oh yeah, I got my knees done. Oh, they're fabulous. I'm actually just so proud of them. Now, Tony said that they weren't on the list and they weren't necessary. Oh, necessary. I mean, with all his money, he can be, tight as a rat's arse. Anyway, they're gorgeous. I didn't even know you could get wrinkles on your knees until about a year ago. You can. I mean, it happens just literally like overnight, like some sort of evil magic. And you know, I told Tony I deserved them. I'm getting all of this surgery done and I can't even fix the one thing I want fixed. And then once I got my knees done, oh yeah, I caught sight of my elbows. Oh my God, they were like me grannies. They were just flapping everywhere, like, so I had to get them done. And when I got them done, oh geez, Tony went ballistic. He said that we have to look like normal people, that we have to fit in, that I was going to give us away. Oh, you know, I thought Spain was going to be amazing. And it was, like, it was great at first. I mean, the sun shines every single day, and sure, look at the fabulous house I'm living in. And yeah, well, we moved here about 5 years ago. I mean, Tony wanted to expand his business, and things were great at first, and then, well, the pressure was really on at home, and we thought distance would help, and it did, but then things started going funny. Well, Tony works in pharmaceuticals, like sales, and, well, he's got loads of other sidelines, but you know, that's his main business. Anyway, he just started losing touch with what was happening, and the lads at home were just taking on just way more than they could handle. I mean, just say, for example, you get a painter to paint a house, okay, yeah? And he goes and he paints someone else's house. And then he comes to you looking for the money. I mean, what are you going to say to him? Exactly. And then consignments of stuff started going missing. Missing, yeah, that's the type of tow rags they're dealing with. Anyway, Tony's name just doesn't have the same gravitas it used to. And oh God, there's new guys on the scene, and just I can see that. And now Tony wants out. And where we're going to go and what we're going to do, I haven't a clue. So I've got a new face. I've got new ID. Oh yeah, and I've got the special branch hanging around outside day and night.